Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Newsroom. I'm your host Khalid Butt. Today is Friday, the 17th of September 2021. These are the stories that we will be talking about during the course of the show. We'll begin with the New Zealand's cricket team that has decided unilaterally to postpone the trip. Of course, this cricket series between New Zealand and Pakistan, they were to play their first match today, and just hours before the match, they decided to postpone this match. It has not only backed out, there is a statement that has come out in which it has informed the board that it had been alerted to some security alert and unilaterally decided to postpone the series. Pakistan said that, of course, the security measures were foolproof from their side. Nevertheless, this is going to be our leading story. Then our second story of the day, ladies and gentlemen, concerns the SCO meeting that went on in Dushanbe, and our Prime Minister's visit along with the delegation that comprised of different ministers, the different meetings that were held, what were the important matters that were discussed, the different leaders that our Prime Minister also met with during the course of this SCO meeting, and on the sidelines of this, whether it be the meeting of the heads of delegations of SCO and SCO on outreach of Afghanistan that happened today, or the SCO Council of Heads and State meeting that also happened today. We'll be talking about this in our second segment. Then our third segment, ladies and gentlemen, is the investment opportunities in Pakistan, and of course making investment conducive environment and attracting foreign investment in Pakistan has been one of the points that the current government has been working upon, and during the different trips of our Prime Minister and our Foreign Minister abroad as well, this has been highlighted recently also in the SCO. This has been highlighted in the Pakistan-Tajikistan Business Forum, where different business communities were present, and the need to further enhance business cooperation between the two countries was highlighted. And of course, Pakistan as a business-friendly country was also one of the points that was highlighted during that meeting. Then we will be talking about a positive story, warm-hearted story about a Sessions Judge of Rajanpur who bade farewell to his gardener on retirement after 36 years with great respect. The video that you can see on your parallel screens got viral on social media, on which this gardener was given a rousing welcome, and of course he was rousing salute by all the people who worked in the Sessions Court, and the Sessions Judge took the gardener to his official car and of course bade him farewell and took him to his home. This of course shows a lot of different side to the judiciary and the different areas of Pakistan, and how as a society and as a nation we are warm-hearted, and of course the way we hold in esteem all those who are of a certain age. This is going to be our last segment. Let's begin with our first story, and that concerns cricket, and of course the series that was to begin between the New Zealand cricket and Pakistan, and just a few hours before, in fact just today, this afternoon, a statement came out from the New Zealand cricket that they were postponing the series between New Zealand cricket and Pakistan cricket, citing security concerns. The Pakistan Cricket Board said that the New Zealand Cricket Board had informed them that they had been alerted to some kind of a security alert and unilaterally decided to postpone the series. They are of course now preparing to leave the country. The New Zealand cricket said that Pakistan had been wonderful hosts, but added that player safety was paramount. But the New Zealand cricket did not comment more on which kind of threat they had received as far as their team is concerned. Tipu Sultan, who's an analyst, joins us online. Sir, thank you very much to have joined us. What reason do you feel, in your point of view, is behind the postponement of this series at the very last moment between New Zealand and Pakistan? Tipu Sultan Sahab, what do you feel is the basic reason behind the postponement, the unilateral postponement of this cricket series between New Zealand and Pakistan? So of course we'll get hold of Tipu Sultan Sahab. As soon as we do, we will discuss a little bit about what the reasons were behind. But apparently, as per the New Zealand cricket, there are some security concerns owing to which they feel that the security of their team is paramount, and they have decided at the very last moment, just a few hours before the first match was to start between Pakistan and New Zealand, to postpone this series, and they will of course now be returning to their country. The PCB said Pakistan had foolproof security arrangements for all the visiting teams and had assured New Zealand cricket of the same. There was also a telephonic conversation between Imran Khan and Jacinda Ardern on this very issue. Tipu Sultan Sahab, can you hear us?
Ji, loud and clear now.
Okay. Sir, a very unfortunate incident that comes from the cricketing world. A series of matches that was to begin between New Zealand and Pakistan has been postponed unilaterally by New Zealand cricket, citing security concerns. What kind of security concerns, in your point of view, could have led to this? Because there have been other teams in the past in Pakistan as well. And as far as the security environment is concerned in our country, in the last few years, it has been quite positive as far as the foreign teams are concerned.
The entire cricketing saga for the last about 2 decades is full of politics and less of these sports. The way Pakistan has been orchestrated as a place in which there is no security is absolutely astonishing. Whereas Pakistan has fought the war against terrorism very successfully, the most successful war that any country could have fought against terrorism is Pakistan. And now it has come to fore that the regional country, India, has been perpetuating that through Afghanistan and politicking against us and FATF and all that stuff. So this cricket non-visiting venue for the international teams is just not sports or security. It has got a lot of politics to do with it also. Who can be more aware of the security environment in Pakistan other than the government of Pakistan and the Pakistan security itself? I mean, we have done everything for the international community to see that Pakistan is a peaceful place. And there are certain other international events that have taken place in Pakistan, and it is a perfect venue to play cricket in South Asia. And the New Zealand decision to go back without any rhyme or reason suddenly is not understood. Whereas the Prime Minister of Pakistan also spoke to the New Zealand government. Of course, he talked to Jacinda Ardern. It is unprecedented, and it is very unfortunate, should I say that. But I think Pakistan should not take it as something which is disappointing, all right. But I think it represents a partisan sort of treatment that Pakistan has been getting by the international community. Is unfortunate for the cricket fans. We have always been waiting here for the cricket to start here in Pakistan. Pakistan is one of the prominent, it occupies a prominent place in international cricket. And I think the International Cricket Council should take that into cognizance. This is such a thing that Pakistan has been maligned for by other powers that be for no rhyme or reason. It is unfortunate, and Pakistan has been subjected to a partisan behavior, should I say.
All right. Now, speaking of quote unquote what you just said, partisan behavior, Ramiz Raja, the PCB chief, also said that he will take the matter to the ICC. Do you feel there will be some kind of an action taken by the ICC on this sudden last moment departure of the New Zealand cricket team?
Unfortunately, no. If a country says that they are not playing cricket on a certain venue because of security reasons, then the International Cricket Council is not going to say no, this is not good enough a reason. They will say yes, if you fear for something, then we can't do anything about it, no matter how.
All right. Thank you very much, Tipu Sultan Sahab, to have joined us, to have talked to us about this sudden decision taken by the New Zealand cricket to suspend and of course postpone this cricket series against Pakistan. More after this short break. Stay tuned. And before we go to our second segment, just a quick update as far as the suspension or postponement of the cricket tour of New Zealand to Pakistan is concerned. The Minister for Interior, Sheikh Rashid Saab, while addressing media, has said that there was no threat call and no threat information as far as what has emanated, and of course the security threat that is being cited by the New Zealand cricket is saying, he said that the New Zealand cricket had sent a security team 4 months back and they had found no threat whatsoever to date. This was just part, and this of course is still going on as we speak. Let's go to our second segment now, and that concerns the Shanghai Cooperation Organization meeting, the Prime Minister's visit to Dushanbe, Pakistan's efforts for regional and Afghanistan peace, as has been cited by the Prime Minister's address to different fora. More in the following report.
The Shanghai Cooperation Organization represents a colossal opportunity to manage regional affairs through bipartisan consensus. In order to contribute its constructive share in Afghan endgame, several regional leaders participated in the SCO Summit on Thursday and vindicated Pakistan's stance that the war-ravaged country should not be abandoned after the Taliban takeover. Premier Imran Khan, who embarked on the 2-day visit to Dushanbe, Tajikistan, for attending the SCO Summit, reiterated Pakistan's position on Afghan imbroglio as the focus of ongoing SCO session is majorly on developing situation of post-US withdrawal Afghanistan. The top agenda of SCO plenary session, which was held today, was effective stewardship of Afghanistan's situation, including prevention of a possible humanitarian catastrophe there. Deciphering the contours of a stable Afghanistan, Prime Minister Imran Khan emphasized in the plenary session that the Taliban must fulfill the pledges made, above all for an inclusive political structure where all ethnic groups are represented. This is the vital for Afghanistan's stability. Afghanistan has an observer status at the SCO, but it has not been invited for the summit because the members of the Bloc Hitherto do not recognize its interim Taliban-dominated government. According to SCO rules, a country under the sanctions of the United Nations Security Council cannot become its member. The leaders at the forum unanimously cautioned the international community that Afghanistan should not be abandoned, but efforts have to be made to stabilize the country. Prime Minister Imran Khan reiterated Pakistan's full support for efforts for stabilization of Afghanistan. The Shanghai
Now to talk more about the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, Pakistan's role and Afghan peace, and how the countries of SCO can work together for that, as has been enunciated by the Prime Minister in 2 different fora. We've been joined by Jamil Khan Sahab. He's a former ambassador. Thank you very much, Jamil Sahab, to have joined us. Jamil Sahab, how important is this visit of Prime Minister in this heads of the Shanghai SCO meeting? And how do you feel Pakistan has been represented through the different addresses that our Prime Minister has made on these 2 different fora that he has talked on, whether it be the heads of delegations of SCO, CSTO, or the SCO heads of state meeting?
Situation now has become manifold more important, and therefore the Prime Minister's participation in this meeting of the 20th head of the state of the SCO, that becomes cardinally important. Basically, this forum has been formed under the United Nations Charter, Chapter 8, and this forum has the strength to unanimously raise its voice at any fora of the world, including United Nations. 43% of the world population is represented on in this forum. 4 nuclear states are represented, highest number, and any regional cooperation, regional organization such as European Union or any other regional organization. SU has its it has gained its significance now because of the latest development of Afghanistan. So under that backdrop, yes, it's quite an important thing. They definitely have discussed the regional anti-terrorist structure, which is under Article 10 of the SCO Charter. And that has been a focus during the entire discussion, besides other aspects of the SCO, and the Prime Minister has dilated upon amply well on this, and that is under Article 3 of the SCO Charter, in which they have to cooperate in terms of the opportunities to for the trade commerce, and also they have to provide the accessibility for the goods and transport flow of it. So
All right.
from all
Ambassador
these
Saab,
angles,
let's start discussing a little bit about the Prime Minister's address to the heads of SCO meeting. Let's take the things point by point. He talked about the 20th anniversary of the SCO. He talked about COVID-19 and how that has affected the different countries of the world, including the SCO. He also talked about how, despite the international community's earnest efforts, the threat posed by terrorism still persist. He talked about, of course, these threats to international and regional peace and security that are of vital interest to the SCO. Let's talk about the different threats, and of course whether it be due to COVID-19 or the terrorist threats, and of course which could be a direct or an indirect manifestation of what is happening in Afghanistan as well. Do you feel the SCO could together work as a collective organization and body to work out and thrash out these issues?
After the Geneva Donors Conference, where they have pledged about 1.2 billion dollars, it's just a pledge. I have also worked in the United Nations for quite some time, and I understand that the pledges made are have never materialized in total. However, about 40 to 50% pledges are sometime materialized. We are hoping that this much of pledge would materialize, besides the direct donation to the Afghanistan. So that is one aspect that Afghanistan would need some stability in terms of stopping the human catastrophe. That was one. Second, about the COVID aspect of that of course the regional cooperation in this particular aspect are pulling up the resources and putting it up across for all the members of the secure. And at the same time, the Afghanistan matter. Now, the way America is approaching this problem of Afghanistan and putting conditionality, only 63 billion has been passed on to Afghanistan by the Americans, and 330 was already pledged. So that is just peanut. America has been spending only on defense for $4 billion, and now they have seized about $10 billion of the Afghanistan. Under these circumstances, Antonio Guterres, the Secretary General of the United Nations, he has already said and given his assessment that if by the end of September, if we do not really give the relief to the Afghani people, 50% of Afghan nationals, then we should witness the catastrophe there. In that case, this would again the same thing which Security Council had the apprehension about Afghanistan should not be used, that the territory of Afghanistan shall not be used for any terrorism act for any other country, including the Western country and US. So if you destabilize the country through this kind of means of humanitarian nature, then obviously the other organizations, the groups which can cause terrorism in the world can become active. So there is a choice with this group of SCO that they have to really pull up their resources. And if the West is not coming forth, and if the Americans are not going to release the $10 billion, which is the right of the Afghan the government.
There's also the IMF and the World Bank, sir.
Well, it's all under the influence of the United States, and the IMF maximum directors and the World Bank maximum directors are from the United States, and they are normally influenced by them. So if the United States is frozen this much upfront, that the same thing, same influence would be caused on the IMF and the World Bank.
All right, sir. So one final question, sir. The Prime Minister said he talked about a 5-point way forward at the end of his address. He talked about complete support for effective multilateralism and the principles of the UN Charter, strengthening collective endeavors to mitigate the adverse effects of COVID-19, coordinated SCO support, an approach towards stabilizing the situation in Afghanistan, agent of regional connectivity. He talked about the transport connectivity for regional prosperity, and of course the immense potential of the youth. How important are these 5 points, and do you feel that the SCO can also, come up as strong parallel to all the other organizations that are present across the world?
No, the emerging situation, regional situation, it definitely demonstrates the SCO and ECU together. They can address most of the problems, most of the issues which the West has been addressing in past. And particularly once we can see this bloc becoming stronger and stronger, and this bloc is being left north, the Russian, the China, Pakistan, Iran, Turkey, and this entire Central Asian countries, the members of the SCO, they don't have much choice but to cooperate among themselves. And if Afghanistan, with these 5 points, that the Prime Minister has suggested in his speech, if Afghanistan is stabilized, all these countries would draw the benefits of the stability of Afghanistan and the CPEC and the BRI. So all these connectivity which you are mentioning, that's the part of the charter of the SCO. So from that angle, they'll be benefited. Prime Minister's emphasis on the UN Charter, we've been always emphasizing, and Prime Minister has taken up on this fora also. This matter would mean that the Kashmir issue, which has more than about 11 Security Council resolutions, which has not been implemented, Prime Minister indicated, and he had also taken the name of Kashmir. From that perspective, SCO forum could be very useful, although India would not be very pleased with such mentions. But the Prime Minister
let's see, Ambassador Jamil Khan Saab, how SCO moves forward as far as the 5-point agenda that our Prime Minister has put forward, as well as the different important matters that have been discussed. Of course, the first in line is the situation in Afghanistan and how the SCO countries can help Afghanistan. Thank you very much, Excellency, to have joined us, to have talked exclusively about, of course, the SCO conference, the SCO heads meeting, and how important it is in the present context, the regional and of course, the global situation. Let's come to our third segment, ladies and gentlemen, that concerns investment opportunities in Pakistan. We know there has been a Pakistan-Tajikistan Business Forum that has been addressed by our Prime Minister, and also there were a lot of business people there. There are a lot of investment opportunities in Pakistan. How can the people abroad avail them? More in the following report.
Since the sudden rise of China as economic giant, the tectonic plates of world order shifted from geopolitics towards geoeconomics. Sensing the shifting global trends, Pakistan's pivot came into sharp focus at regional forums and bilateral summits in the form of robust economic diplomacy. As Premier Imran Khan embarked on a 2-day visit to attend SCO at Dushanbe, Pakistan-Tajikistan Business Forum was also organized. According to Prime Minister Office, as many as 67 companies from Pakistan and more than 150 Tajik companies participated in the forum, where large number of business-to-business meetings were held among companies representing diverse sectors. Marking a promising development, 15 MOUs were signed for joint ventures and many orders were booked by Pakistani exporters, catalyzing Pakistan's new economic security paradigm. Premier also highlighted that sustainable peace and stability in Afghanistan will ultimately benefit the region, adding that the government has shifted its focus from geopolitics to geoeconomics. In a bid to tap the economic potential of SCO, Prime Minister Khan highlighted contours of Pakistan's economic vision by citing that our new economic security paradigm has 3 central pillars: peace, development partnerships, and connectivity. The end goal of Pakistan's economic diplomacy goes beyond tapping the resource-rich Central Asia and aims at utilizing the economic potential of China-Pakistan economic corridor by ushering regional connectivity.
Talk more about the economic opportunities that Pakistan or the SCO countries can provide, as has been talked about and discussed during the SCO heads meeting that is going on in Dushanbe as we speak. We've been joined by Shakeel Ramay. He's a leading economist. Thank you very much, Shakeel, to have joined us. Shakeel, what kind of opportunities does the SCO provide to its member countries on the economic front, and how much can Pakistan avail these economic opportunities?
I think there are 2 very imminent and very strong opportunities are emerging from China for SCO countries. As last year, the Chinese President Xi Jinping has announced about the China SCO digital economic framework. That is very important because now we are living in the age of digital economy. So where everything is going to be digitalized, and there is no second thought about that. China is leading now. and China is the biggest economy in this sense. And in the coming years, China would become the biggest economy of the world. And in the supply chain, China has modernized the supply chain according to the requirement of the digital economy. This is a huge opportunity. If Pakistan capitalize on that. But unfortunately, right now in Pakistan, what is happening? We are only working on the e-commerce, not the digital economy.
So why is that in your point of view?
Because we did not have required infrastructure and the skills. And the fundamental thing, there are two fundamental things for the digital economy. Number one is infrastructure. Number two is data. Data is a big issue in Pakistan. Because for the digital economy, you need big data. While Pakistan is struggling to find the right simple data. So that is the biggest thing. But we are here to see like that there are some companies which come with the innovative ideas. It's a good, they can develop some softwares. But to translate into the infrastructure and help to use it for the digitalizing the economy, that is a humongous task. And Pakistan have to invest on that. And Pakistan can attract assistance from China from the two forums. Number one, we can attract the assistance to the CPEC. And China is already putting the infrastructure, especially with the optic fiber and these things. And second is China SCO Digital Economy Forum. We can also attract some assistance from there. In bilateral relation, we can definitely, but these are the two concrete areas where we can start and we can take assistance from the China.
Let's talk about Pakistan-Tajikistan Business Forum. 67 companies from Pakistan, 150 Tajik companies participated in the forum. And of course, many MOUs were signed, around 15 for joint ventures, and many orders were also booked by the Pakistani exporters. Do you feel that the countries of the SCO can also work jointly together to increase trade amongst each other?
That is the area where the 5-6 years back, the Chinese Prime Minister, he proposed a free trade agreement among the SCO countries. We have to wait what would be the, when the SCO achieved that mark. If there would be the free trade agreement, that would be a good initiative because it not only includes the Central Asian state but also Eurasia, Russia, and also now it will including the Iran. India is already the part of that. If there is a free trade agreement at SCO, it will open a huge market for Pakistan. There Pakistan can benefit. But right now, if you're looking at the Tajikistan's economy, if we look at that, the main source of income is remittances because there are very limited economic opportunities in the Tajikistan. They need a huge investment in infrastructure. They also need for the industry development, but they have some natural resources. So where
do you feel that Pakistan can export to Tajikistan?
It depends because most of the commodities we are presenting at this point of the time, we talk about the commodities of textile or agriculture products. So they have somehow, they have a good, Uzbekistan, they are the neighbor, they have the good textile industry, and they also have the good agriculture in the Tajikistan. So we have the limited scope, but we can expand if we can expand the investment there. For example, new sectors, we can expand the investment there. They are open for the investment in the natural resources and the minerals. Pakistan go there for the natural resources and the minerals to invest there. But for that purpose, we have to compete with other countries like China, like other Western countries, because the Western countries also have the deep interest in the Central Asia. They are also coming for the investment. And third thing, which is the Tajikistan, we also have to deal with their bureaucracy. So that is very difficult bureaucracy in the Tajikistan. I think, and economic size is not a very big of Tajikistan, by the way. And the
but nevertheless, there are other countries also in.
But the biggest economy in the Central Asia, we have to look at the Kazakhstan. We have to look at the Uzbekistan. Then we can also look to some extent to the Azerbaijan. So we also have to
we've got strong relations with
strategize our investment in Central Asia. It should not be like that. Anybody we should start to celebrate. Oh, we made a huge things. We have to calculate what impact we will make for the regional thing.
Not only now let's talk of regional, of the region, of regional economic stability. Now, Abdul Razak Daud Saab, who's the advisor to the Prime Minister on Commerce and Investment, while he was addressing this, of course, forum, he said that the objective of Pakistan is regional connectivity and enhanced regional trade. These are two very important points. What do you feel needs to be done by Pakistan in order to further boost these two?
Look, there are two things. Number one is the infrastructure. Through the Gwadar, we have an excellent opportunity. If we look at the infrastructure, we have an excellent opportunity. So to fulfill the dream of the connectivity. But we have to complement it with the required reforms. For how many days we take at the border, how we are facilitating the transit trade. And important thing is, either we have developed these are required rule and regulations and the system to facilitate the transit trade, especially if the truck is moving on the Pakistani road. If some accident happens, so whose that truck belongs to Uzbekistan, so whose law will be applied on him?
All right.
These are very minor thing but very major thing. One thing and second thing, if we look at the Central Asian states, what type of the trucks or the trailer, the container they are using, that the tire size or the rim size is different from the Pakistani size.
All right.
If, for example,
So
if
the infrastructure has to be in accordance with.
there is very interesting thing. If some truck is coming from the Uzbekistan Central Asia, they're traveling to Pakistan, if it's punctured, either they have to change the tire, from where they will get it. So these are
Small things but need to be catered to.
very important things, because you have to travel 10,000 miles and anything can happen to the tires and the
All
rims.
right.
But how you will have to collaborate with
All
the
right.
Central Asian state to bring the standardized. This is one example. There are other examples also.
All right. Now, when we talk of regional connectivity, enhanced regional trade, the SCO is a very important and a very strong fora. And of course, there are many important countries, many of which are, of course, nuclear states as well. Do you feel that some kind of a joint agreement, you talked about the digital forum, apart from the digital economy, in the other spheres of economy, do you feel that the countries can also jointly work together? There can be a forum where they can, as you talked about also, that you need to see what happens with that forum that had been talked about by the Chinese premier some years back.
Free trade agreement.
Yes, the free trade agreement. But free trade agreement is just one aspect of it all. You know, can't we find commonalities between the SCO states in order to jointly work together to enhance each other's economies?
Look, China has taken another step. They have established a special economic zone in the Chengdu. That is a very important city in the China. For the SCO countries to enhance economic linkages, trade linkages, investment, tourism, and industrial cooperation.
All right.
So China has established two very important these things. One is a special economic zone, economic zone, and other is a digital economic forum.
All right.
So the requirement is there now how the other countries work those forums. One thing, and second thing, so they have other countries also have to look at what concessions China is offering at these two platforms.
All right.
And they have to work on that if they need more. But important thing is that how they're working together. And if we look at the behavior of the other Central Asian states and the Eurasian states, they are closely working with China. Pakistan is also trying to enhance the cooperation, but the problem is with India right now. But Indian story is very interesting. I just tell you one thing.
All right.
On one side, they are saying we will not be part of the BRI and the free trade agreement. You know, Asian Infrastructure and Investment Bank, who is the biggest borrower of the Asian Infrastructure and Investment Bank? India. So that is based in China, and China is the initiator. So they are trying to play smart. That
All
can
right.
be.
All right. All right. Thank you very much to have joined us, Shakeel, Ramay. That brings us to the end of today's newsroom. We'll see you inshallah Monday. Allah Hafiz.